All right, let's dive into a maritime mystery that has had people scratching their heads for decades. It's the incredible story of a ghost ship, the Ourang Medan, a vessel that didn't just vanish from the waves, but kind of vanished from the official record too. And it left behind a truly chilling tale that just defies all explanation.
And this whole thing kicks off with just a single, terrifying piece of a message broadcast out over the open ocean. A distress call that wasn't about a rescue. It was about a scene of absolute horror.
So our story doesn't begin with a ship setting sail on a grand voyage. Nope. It begins with a horrifying discovery. A story that comes out of this deep, unnatural silence in one of the busiest waterways in the entire world.
I want you to picture the Straits of Malacca. It's one of the most vital shipping lanes on the planet. Basically, a constant parade of ships. And right in the middle of all this traffic, the Dutch freighter Ourang Medan was found just drifting. It was eerily quiet, no answer to any radio calls, no signs of life on deck, just a silent ship in a sea of constant motion.
So you might be wondering, how did anyone even know something was wrong? Well, the answer is the key to this whole mystery. A final, cryptic message sent out from the ship's radio. A message that would kick this whole haunting story into gear.
Before the ship was even found, listening posts and other ships in the area started to pick up a distress call. It was a mess of Morse code, really frantic and tough to make out. But the parts that did come through were absolutely terrifying.
The message basically painted a scene of just sheer terror. The sender was claiming that the entire command crew was dead, and that the captain was somehow still barely hanging on. I mean, can you even imagine what the last moments on that bridge must have been like?
After that last haunting line, there was just this garble of code that nobody could figure out. And then complete and total silence. The transmission just cut out, leaving this huge, chilling question mark hanging over the airwaves.
So, after hearing that SOS, a nearby American merchant ship, the Silver Star, managed to find the Ourang Medan and sent a boarding party over. But what they walked into, well, it was way worse than any radio message could have ever described.
The scene was just horrific. The entire crew was dead, literally frozen at their duty stations. You had the radio operator still at his telegraph, officers on the bridge. Their eyes were wide open, their faces twisted into these looks of unimaginable horror. But here's the crazy part. There were no visible injuries on anyone. And there was this strange, damp cold just clinging to the air, which makes no sense in the tropical heat. So you can imagine, faced with this totally impossible scene, investigators were desperate for some kind of answer. I mean, how could an entire crew just die so suddenly and so weirdly? This gets us into the theories that started to pop up, each one trying to make sense of a situation that just didn't make any sense. And look, this was not a simple case. Not at all. There were no signs of pirates, no violence, no damage to the ship itself. It was almost as if death itself had just washed over the entire vessel. So what on earth could have happened? Well, two main theories started to form. The first one had to do with a leak of some kind of dangerous cargo, maybe a nerve agent or some unstable chemicals in the hold let off a toxic gas. That would explain the sudden deaths, right? But it just couldn't explain the looks of pure terror frozen on every single face. The second theory was some kind of sudden mass hysteria, but that felt even crazier. How could a whole experienced crew fall into a panic so bad that it literally stopped their hearts, all without a single sign of a struggle? And that's pretty much where the official record just stops. Every logical explanation had a major hole in it. Every single theory failed to explain all the bizarre facts. The case of the Ourang Medan became, and it still is, stubbornly and maddeningly unresolved. So, you know what happens when you have a story this strange with zero answers, right? It was basically destined to leave the world of official reports and sail right into the realm of folklore. This is how a mystery becomes a full-blown myth. The story just became a classic of maritime lore. And, to give the legend the perfect final chapter, just as the Silver Star was getting ready to tow it to port, a fire supposedly broke out in the Ourang Medan's cargo hold. It exploded, and then it sank, taking every single one of its secrets down to the bottom of the sea. I mean, that's just such a fitting end for this ship's story. Its fate is this chilling reminder of how fragile history can be. The story sticks with us not just because it's spooky,
but because it represents the ultimate unknown, a story completely wiped clean of evidence, leaving nothing but questions behind.
So what are we left with? No bodies, no wreck that's ever been officially found, and no rational explanation. The story of the Ourang Medan really forces us to think about all the stories that just get lost to time. It makes you ask the question, do some histories just vanish before we ever even get a chance to find the truth?